Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar, How to Best Serve Email Subscribers Through the Entire Customer Lifecycle. Special thanks today to Eloqua for sponsoring our webinar and also our recently released email handbook. My name is Justin Bridigan. I'm coming to you live from our MarketingSherpa studios here in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm the host today, and with me I have my sidekick John Hosier. John, say hello.
Hi everyone.
And we're going to be monitoring questions and doing the polling today. So before we introduce our speakers, let me let you know we have a busy 60 minutes packed with great information. All right, let's jump right into the introductions today. We have Jeffrey Rice. He is the lead author of the 2012 Email Handbook and Benchmark Report. He's also a newsletter columnist and a speaker at our email summit that we just had in Vegas. Now, he goes around the country with Adam teaching our email certification courses. I think Jeff and Adam are kind of like Batman and Robin. They're definitely involved in our email product here, so we're great to have Jeff with us. Adam Sutton is the senior reporter at MarketingSherpa Email and Inbound Marketing, newsletters, and also the MarketingSherpa blog. And he has previously covered marketing topics in search engines, e-retail, and social media and others. So thank you both for speaking with us today and sharing your expert insights.
Oh, thanks for having us, Justin.
No problem. All right, so one of the questions we constantly get is how can we join the conversation? Well, it's important that we get feedback from you, so there's two ways. The first is to join us on Twitter with the Sherpa webinar handle, and also don't forget you have your chat feature that you can ask questions for us. Now, one of the questions I constantly get is, will this presentation be available? And of course, yes it will. We will send it to you. All attendees will get a copy of it after the presentation has concluded. So with that, let me give you a little bit of research and kind of background about MarketingSherpa. Our goal here at MarketingSherpa is to provide you with the most up-to-date research and best practices and tactics for improving your marketing performance. So you may ask, how do we make this happen? Well, first we go through a process of interviewing thousands and surveying thousands of marketers to really help us find out what works and what doesn't in marketing today. And we do that through our guides and our benchmarks. Now, following that, we identify those best practices and we formulate a methodology through our handbooks. And we also transfer that knowledge to our email marketers on how to apply best practices through webinars and through summits and training events that we just actually concluded in Las Vegas. So this is a continual process that really kind of helps marketers like myself really take advantage of all those best practices, tactics that we can really apply to help our marketing today. So with that, we're going to move into our agenda today. Let me just give a brief overview of what we've got going on here. First, we're going to talk about the state of email communications. Then we're going to go over the 5 stages of really the customer life cycle. We're going to follow that up with 2 case studies that are going to give us some in-depth examples of what we can do to really help change our email marketing today. And then we're going to give you some key takeaways, and we're going to answer some questions throughout the presentation that you guys have submitted to us so that we can get started. So with that, Jeff, I'll turn the presentation and time over to you to get going.
Wow, thanks, Justin. Thanks for covering all that information. Good morning to those on the West Coast and good afternoon to those on the East Coast. Let's dive right in. Let's start talking about the state of email communications. So Bob Dylan sang the song, times are a-changin'. And this is so true of us marketers. There's a perfect storm of customer empowerment and technology that's shifted marketing tactics from command and control to more open and inclusive. Having 20 flavors of Coca-Cola is not enough today. Consumers want to dictate how they communicate with brands and how they digest content. Now, technology has allowed customers to skip through television commercials, except for the Super Bowl, of course, and share their experiences with their products, about the products instantly to a larger audience than ever before with social media. Now, in this network model, a brand is no longer separated from the conversation. Rather, it's expected to participate. These discussions are not scripted. They're rather organic and free-flowing. The task is to build a healthy ecosystem in which community members spontaneously interact and share valuable information. And to do that, it requires communication points that are all linked. They're transparent, and they can't be easily manipulated. This new marketing ecosystem makes manic marketers feel like they've always been chasing the latest marketing trend, whether it was search or social media, or now it's mobile, or Pinterest for for the social media groups. We really have to remind ourselves that our customers' priorities are not with the communication channels, but rather with the relationship with our brand. The channel merely delivers the message, the solutions that they desire on a media tool that they actually prefer. So it makes the channel itself subservient to the relationship that we have with our customers. So when you boil down marketing down to its essence, it's really just designing, preparing, and capitalizing on opportunities to engage with people that produce unforgettable branded experience. If this is successful, the recipient is going to be captivated by the experiential exchange, and it's going to take action to influence others within their network, whether it be professional or their personal, their family. Now, making new connections and maintaining them requires extreme effort in the form of active listening and interacting in meaningful ways to your subscribers' innate communication style. So the communication can be categorized into 4 elements: media, message, the marketer, i.e. the brand, and the market. So this two-way conversation must freely flow back and forth between the parties. Now everybody knows, especially both parties, that the marketer and the market has their own objectives. And they both understand this, but at the same time they both understand if the criterion is not met, either side is going to walk away. But they go into this relationship in good faith, seeking a relationship that's worth the investment of their time, effort, and expense. Now, mutual trust builds upon multiple micro-decisions of shared information and fair value exchange. Now, when it comes to email, it's definitely easier said than done. So let's do a quick poll right now. How many of you currently execute and send relevant email communications? And what I mean by email communications is on time to a specific segment of your audience with a clear conversion goal. Or do you sometimes get it out on time, but sometimes it's a little bit late? Maybe it's to a partial segment with not really a clear conversion goal. Or, do you just continuously get them out late? You do more of a batch and blast where you send it to your entire list without a clear conversion goal. So I'll give you a few minutes to do the poll.
All right. It looks like we can go ahead and move forward.
Okay. What were the results here?
We had 44% say that they usually do it on time, segmented, and with a clear goal.
Hey, that's good. All right. Now, interesting, our results from 2,700 email marketers found that 20% of people out there were basically just doing batch and blast, and that's kind of scary. And only 28% were actually sending relevant email messages on time. So congratulations to everyone listening on this webinar. You guys are ahead of the curve. So the real problem that we're trying to address is how do marketers build a repeatable yet agile email strategy that meets the escalating expectations of their customers to really earn their trust. And what we've just discovered is that it really takes an effort to manufacture marksmanship, where you have a repeatable process that leads to both relevant and reliable messages. Because the only way you can really earn trust is when you produce when you produce these type of messages consistently. And then once you do that, you're seen as a credible source. And there's a great quote from Dr. Flint that says, credibility translates into trust, trust translates into relationship, and relationship can translate into sustained sales. And that's what we're looking for. Now, we don't have time to go into the entire methodology, the research methodology that we have, but what we did is from all of our research, we honed it down to 6 key steps and of an iterative process to really help accelerate your email marketing performance. And we put that inside of our new 2012 email handbook, and that's what we're discussing today. As a side note, they're going to be giving you, John and Justin will be giving you a remarkable deal at the end of this seminar on the book itself, so stay tuned for that. So these 6 steps were, as you can read here, identify impact, integrate email, create contagious content that people crave, keep quality lists, monitor deliverability, and then, of course, test and optimize. So we don't have time to go through all of this today, so we're going to focus on the first one, which is identify impact and purpose. So the question that I get asked is often similar to John's, especially last week at the email summit in Las Vegas. How do you manage email?
Sorry, Jeff. Just so you guys know, we did take questions beforehand when you were registering, obviously. So we've handpicked a couple of them, and Jeff and Adam are going to do their best to answer them and really get to the nitty-gritty here. Sorry, Jeff. You can go ahead now.
No, thanks for that clarification, John. That's helpful to our audience.
So we've got this question from John, and he's asking, how do you manage email communications to avoid that burnout, that low metrics over time? So I'm assuming, Jeff, you can go ahead and take this one.
Oh, sure. There's really no easy answer to this, but for me, I always try to put myself in the shoes of a subscriber. You know, it starts by providing really valuable content, so valuable that even if the person never buys from you, they found it helpful to solve their challenge. And when you do that, your emails are going to be more welcome. The second key to that is segmentation. A prospect has completely different needs from one of your current customers, so your emails need to be tailored to where they are in the path to purchase. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. All right, so unfortunately, it's not that easy. We found that only 39% of firms can segment their email database by customer location in the marketing funnel. Now, I think this happens because as marketers, we sometimes get caught up in all the wonderful metrics and numbers that email provides, but we sometimes forget the purpose. Emails become so commonplace that we kind of employ the tactic without always thinking through the strategy. Somebody comes to us and we say, oh, we got to get out the information fast. So we just do it without really thinking through the strategy. So I compare that to pouring red wine without having a glass to hold it. Now this next chart shows the good news, though, is that in our study of 2,700 marketers, the top area for improvement was using email for funnel optimization. 72% of marketers wanted to improve that area. So that's the good news. So where should we actually place email in the pipeline? Now that is a question that every company is going to have a different answer to. But we strongly suggest that the first step is to look at your marketing and sales pipeline and determine where email messages can have the greatest impact on your firm's objectives. So you want to combine all the email collected through your, web analytics, CRM, marketing automation, or social CRM to profile your customers and their buying habits. With this key information, you're going to be able to identify and segment niches, leading to greater relevant conversations with your potential or existing customers. Now, customer lifecycle has many stages, and again, each company is going to be slightly different, but for the most part, we can group it into these 5 stages. Prospect, how can I help educate the person? Nurturing, that's where you try to capture the names and really try to understand their challenges. And then you run to the active and retain, where you really want to help out your customers, solve their problems, discover what you can deliver to aid them and keep them as a loyal customer. And then finally, you want to try to go after and have them refer have them become greater evangelists to recruit you more customers. So we're going to go through each stage today and just give you a couple suggestions on each. So prospecting. Now we all know engaging prospects and customers before they're ready to purchase is so vital in keeping a brand top of mind and ensuring that's going to be one of the finalists in the selection process. The manner in which a company communicates when a sales transaction is not imminent speaks volumes to its credibility and brand truth. So when a company gives guidance, it shares valuable information, and helps make the life or the job easier, it can emotionally connect with the consumer and make an enduring positive impression. So you see a lot newsletters fall into this group, welcome emails, nurturing campaigns. These are all excellent opportunities to lay the foundation of trust to build a long-lasting relationship with subscribers. Let's see here. So welcome email messages. This is probably the most popular. Actually, our research shows that over 60% of companies out there send automated welcome messages. So that's great. But the importance of a welcome message cannot be understated, even though it's so popular. For some consumers, this is going to be the first two-way conversation that they're going to have with your brand. And hopefully it's the first step in transitioning them from a fan to a customer to a brand evangelist. So for some firms, the first 30 days after enrollment is the most critical in capturing and winning over a lifelong customer. Now, of course, timely and relevant emails that are well-suited to communicating the brand's values and that personality that every brand has is so important during this incubation stage. But if the prospect has a less than engaging or even poor customer service experience, the chance to recruit them as a loyal customer is going to be lost. So here's a few key points that you want to think of when you're creating your welcome email messages. The first is you want to cite the source. You want to remind them how they opted in. So by acknowledging specifically how, when, and where they signed up, you're going to reduce that new subscriber's anxiety and help keep them on your list. Next is you want to deliver value. You want your email to set the tone for future conversations. So you want to start with a sincere thank you. Just like most relationships, manners matter. The words selected must support your brand's voice and successive messages that are going to meet the subscriber's expectation. Now, again, the aim is to start a relationship that turns a prospect into a customer. So you want to give more than expected. You want them to be wowed by what you offer, so they're going to end up telling their friends. Now, each business provides value differently. With increasing demands on their time, it's common for marketers to repurpose what they already have and maybe evergreen content into welcome messages. So if they ask for a newsletter, they may receive a best of newsletter issue. Now, in some cases, it's great, especially for B2C companies, they're going to offer a discount or a discount coupon as a special thank you for signing up for their email. Now, ideally during registration, you clearly set the expectations of what they were going to receive in terms of the content and the frequency. And you want to make sure that you repeat that and give them the opportunity to opt out if there was some type of miscommunication. Now, you also want to make sure that you have a link to your privacy policy. This day and age, people are very worried about their online information. So if you can have a link to your privacy policy, that's going to reduce their anxiety about what you're going to end up doing with their email address. Now, most of the time, as email marketers, we've all discovered that the less we ask for during the registration, the more people sign up. But unfortunately, that doesn't give us a lot of information later on to segment and tailor our emails to. So this is a great opportunity to try to harvest additional data. And one thing that you need to clearly communicate to them is that the more information that they share with you, the more tailored the communications are going to be. So you want to show them that it's a real good win-win. And finally, this is a great place to be asked to be whitelisted. Now, we all know whitelisting isn't important in deliverability anymore as much as your sender reputation or your engagement metrics. But For a first-time welcome message, it's a great place to ask to be whitelisted. And this is because just lost my train of thought. Sorry about that. It's really important to be whitelisted because this is actually something that the subscriber has control over on making sure that your email gets into their inbox.
Hey Jeff.
Yeah.
I've got a question from Cindy here. Can you go ahead and clarify what being whitelisted consists of?
Sure. This is an opportunity with a lot of different ESPs that they'll actually, well, and I'm sorry, not ESPs, but inside your email client, whether it be Hotmail or Outlook, you can go in there and make sure that they're in your address book. So when the email comes in, it's not going to be notified as spam because you've already gave the green light that this is somebody that you want to receive email from.
Very good. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Now, like I said, the goal of welcome email campaigns is to move the subscribers from somebody just kicking the tires to a really educated buyer that really understands your products, the pros and cons, and that they actually trust the information that you're giving them. So a lot of times you want to provide content that they will look forward to and anticipate receiving to start to get them in the mode of looking forward to your emails. So there's commonly we've seen people do 4-part series or a 5-week educational course to kind of get them used to receiving your emails. Now, these type of emails usually fall into 3 common campaign categories: education, entertainment, and life transition. Now, of course, for many buyers, they have a want, but they don't actually know exactly what they need. Others have unanswered questions and concerns that companies need to address before they actually invest their time and money. Now, a well-crafted series of educational emails can help address the prospect's fears with reliable data, metrics, testimonials that can help overcome these objections. Now, the gift of data is so important because it's going to empower the recipient to really better represent your company or organization to that unseen committee that's included in the decision process, again, whether it be a family or coworkers. Now, entertainment, there's a completely different mindset out there where the consumer data points really don't move them to purchase. These type of people would prefer an emotional connection that they make with the brand so that they have a better understanding and can relate to their personality. So sharing current customers' funny or candid stories about the challenges that they face before they ended up using your product or service, it's a great way to address their pain points and make them feel really akin to your brand. And then finally, we have life transition. B2C companies have done a fantastic job with this, whether it be life's biggest moments, whether it be birth, graduations, marriages, first homes, anniversaries, retirement. The predictability of these life stage events really helps the audience, helps the brand send relevant information at the exact time that a person is going through this life stage. Now, I encourage B2B marketers to think outside the box and use some of these same tactics when they're communicating information about their evolving technology, whether it be, computer systems or manufacturing processes.
All right, let's go ahead and hop to this question for Lars. He says, how do you deal with the tension between the need for automation and the wish for that personal contact? What do you got, guys?
I can take that one, John. This next case study I'm about to go into will address this directly.
Adam, can you move a little bit closer to your mic there?
Yep, got it. Sorry about that, everyone. So to address Lars's question, you can absolutely have a personalized form of communication via email and have it automized. So you don't have to have a bland, faceless email just because it's an email you wrote a month ago and triggered to an action. You'll see that in an example of this case study. But just kind of put those fears aside and realize that you can also have a more personalized form of contact, even though it's automated. So the example we're going to give here comes from Microsoft, and they did a great job of adding a more personal and human touch to this nurturing program they launched. And this program really continues nurturing customers who already purchased Microsoft's software suite, Office Professional 2010. These are B2B customers specifically who bought this. And the team's goal here was to really teach these customers more about the product and get them started using it. And to Jeff's point earlier, this nurturing campaign is after these customers have purchased. So really, it's a campaign forming more of a relationship and more of a trust relationship with these subscribers, because a sale isn't imminent. These emails aren't aimed at getting someone to buy something. They're more aimed at helping the audience, forming that trust and building a relationship.
Hey Adam, so our audience has spoken. They can't hear you. So would you mind just speaking up a little bit louder?
Sure. Sorry about that, everyone.
Appreciate it. Thanks, man.
All right. So why did Microsoft want to do this? Well, the company had done some research, and it found some customer pain points. Right after they purchased Microsoft Office 2010, satisfaction dropped off almost immediately, and use dropped off almost immediately of the software. And again, these are specifically B2B customers. The team did this research through some usage data surrounding its software. It collects usage data, also through surveys. In the surveys, customers told Microsoft that they needed help getting started. They didn't understand the software. They didn't know how it could help them get some quick wins right away. So the marketing team went back and created this automated nurturing campaign that we're going to describe here. Some goals for the campaign. Well, number one, they needed to show immediate value. They needed to quickly show people why this is a software that's going to help them do their jobs and make their lives easier. And they want to empower these customers by teaching them different ways to use the product and how to use it effectively. And lastly, they had a goal to personalize the communication. As I mentioned, they needed to show more the human side of the Microsoft brand. Microsoft has often been criticized as being one of those large faceless corporations and all we see is the software but not really see the people. Well, this campaign was going to start to change that. So the first part of this automated email series that went out was the welcome portion. You can see the 3 emails in this series here. The first email goes out 1 to 2 days after purchase. The second email goes out about 2 days after the first email. And the third email goes out about a week after the second email. So it spans about 11 days. And you can see people featured in each of these emails. These people are team leaders who led an effort behind a specific part of Office 2010. So obviously Office is a very large project to take on, and these are team leaders for different parts of that project. The goal of these emails really is to thank users for their purchase and to get them started using it. Each of the emails link to a microsite. It's called the Getting Started Center, and it's basically a resource for people where they can get more information and view videos and how-to guides on how to get started using the software. So the first video is delivered, again, 2 days after purchase, and it's just focused on getting started. It features this team leader. By clicking on this first email, readers will go to a microsite that will have a video from the same team leader discussing how to get started with Microsoft Office. The second email follows a very similar approach, but this email focuses on saving and printing using Office. But again, if you click the email, you'll go to a microsite and see a video from the same team leader. The third email follows a very similar approach, but this time it focuses on top features for a variety of applications in Office 2010. So this is the welcome series. And it's followed by these types of emails. So it's followed by emails that focus on specific applications in Office 2010. The emails in front of you focus on Microsoft Excel. So the emails themselves are the 2 images on the left, and a landing page is featured in the image on the right. As you can see, this email features a different team leader, and it also features a video of the team leader on the microsite. So these emails start coming immediately after the welcome series. First, one email is delivered at the beginning of the month, targeting a specific application, in this case, Excel. If the user does not engage that first email about Excel, if they don't open it, click it, and go to the microsite, view the video, they will not receive any other emails inside this program for 1 month. However, if they do engage and they do go to the microsite, view the video, they will receive a subsequent series of emails talking only about Excel for that month. And the emails will gradually increase in sophistication, discussing an increasingly complex level of topics in Excel, just getting them more and more ingrained in the details of how the software works. So that's for 1 month, and then the following month, the series targets a new application. For instance, it might be Microsoft Word or Microsoft PowerPoint, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. If the user engages that email, they'll receive a series of emails that month about that application. If they do not, they will not receive any more emails until another application is featured the following month. So this process continues for about 4.5 to 5 months, and that kind of completes the span of this nurturing program. And again, there's no hard selling here. This is all teaching people, familiarizing them with their new purchase. And the results have been very good. As you can see on this slide, these emails had an 800% higher open rate than emails Microsoft sent just in general about the Office product. So they would send one email about MS Office to their entire Office database. These emails performed much higher as far as open rates go. And in fact, the open rates were about 50% higher than what Microsoft considered the industry average. And the click-through rates were phenomenally higher. We're talking 2,100% higher click-through rate on these emails than those general emails I just mentioned. So for people who started a video, more than half of them and almost 2/3 of them completed a video. And that kind of points to the value of the content. People didn't think the videos were wasting their time. A high number of people were clicking through, and a high number of people were also finishing the content. And ultimately, all these metrics point to success for the overall campaign. 8 out of 10 customers learned something new because of this effort. 2/3 of the participants tried a new feature. And that was really the goal here. Their goal was to help personalize the brand, put a face behind this product, and also get customers learning about the product and trying something new.
Hey, Adam, I got a quick question here from the audience. They want to know if that 800% is the aggregate from the entire program overall, or is that just the the individual level?
That is for the aggregate program. On average, the emails had 800% higher open rate than on average in aggregate the general emails. So it's kind of taking the overall average of both approaches.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
No problem. I'm going to hand it back to Jeff with that note, and he's going to take us through more information about nurturing.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. That case study is just a perfect example of there's all types of places where you can have welcome messages, either when somebody signs up for your actual email newsletter or after they purchase a product, because you're always trying to educate them. And that kind of leads into what we're going to talk about the next stage, which is nurturing. Nurturing emails are just like welcome messages, where they really seek to keep that recipient engaged and move them closer to making a purchase. These type of nurturing campaigns are sometimes called drip campaigns because they're sent so methodically on such an automated basis, based on a subscriber's action, whether they clicked on an ad on your website or they called customer service with a product inquiry. Could be a number of different things. Now, Brian Carroll of our sister company, In Touch, he says that we should spend 25% of our lead-generating budget on nurturing. And for me, that makes a lot of sense, because a lead is not necessarily a qualified lead or even an opportunity. Now, automated emails can do a lot of that grunt work to educate prospects until that they're actually ready to raise their hand and move on to the next stage in the funnel. One thing to remember is that these emails need to be written in a personal, brief, and matter-of-fact kind of way. You want to emphasize education and minimize the branding. No one wants to hear you brag about how great your product is. They have a need and they want to be helped. Now, the next stage is when, after you've nurtured these leads along, and you actually want to give them a little encouragement to raise their hand and buy something. Now, hopefully up to this point you've you really kept your promise to deliver timely and relevant messages. And the communications have been direct and really addressed their desires. And now you want to make them an offer, one that makes them feel like they belong to some type of exclusive club, or they're going to get something that they can't get anywhere else. You want it to really feel exclusive. So here's some examples of incentives that we've seen work well. The first is first to see. Today we live in an age of self-publishing media. As individuals, we have the power to break news via our tweets, posts, or videos. Now, for a lot of people, being the first to share great news with their family or their coworkers is very important. A company's ability to turn these marketing mavens into a tribe of brand evangelists is going to be really key to their success. Just like similar to a Hollywood movie premiere. The first to see the email can generate a lot of buzz before or after the event, as a loyal subscriber can help spread the great news. Now, of course, you have limited time offers. Exclusivity and urgency have always been a successful duo in direct marketing. The limit of time moves readers to take action if they find the discount meaningful, and that's a big if. So you need to make sure that you test. I saw that there was a question in there about the type of offers you want to give, and there's really recommend testing to your audience and segmenting to make sure to find the right mix.
Dang, Jeff, you're taking over my job here, man. we actually had another one early. We had another one earlier that was talking about non-respondents. Would you say that all of these practices here in the activate categories would sort of do well in getting those non-respondents to engage as well?
Actually, no. That kind of goes into, in my mind, a different type of email. A lot of times we see people that, again, they haven't engaged, they haven't opened or clicked an email in, say 6 months. So they'll do a reach out to people to say, hey, we missed you. Maybe you've changed jobs, or maybe you've been really busy lately, but you haven't opened our emails. Just want to say we missed you, or thank you for a nice thank you. And you might give them like a small incentive, a small coupon to just say, hey, we care about you. Come back and come back into our tribe.
Right.
And then after that, though, sometimes people still don't respond. And with today's crazy world of deliverability, it's really important that you show the ISPs that you have an engaged quality list. So you may choose to prune your list by sending out a re-permission campaign. And this one is a lot more blunt. It's, are you in or you're out? And there's some great examples out there from companies that I'd be glad to share after this conference if anybody has a follow-up on that. Those are the two different type of campaigns not really included in this part of the life cycle.
Jeff, I was hoping I could provide just one quick comment too.
Yeah.
For those in the audience who are curious about how to re-engage their subscriber bases, be sure not only to focus on re-engagement itself, but ask yourself why a large portion of your database may have become disengaged. Are they finding interest in your email program? What has encouraged them to ignore you for so long? And try to address that core issue if you're having a problem with it, because merely re-engaging the audience might not be enough to fix this over the long term. If you have something that's not providing enough value, then you might find yourself in the same boat 6 months later. So just keep that in mind. And thanks.
Good point.
Yeah, excellent point, Adam.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys fielding those for me. I can go ahead and let you take back over now.
No problem. Next we have retain. This is the fourth in the life cycle stages. So when you're really focused on building a lifetime customer, the communication doesn't end when the sale is completed. Consumers, especially online sales, consumers remain anxious about their purchases. They want to know if the order was processed, when it's going to ship, when it's supposed to arrive at their house. They want to know all those information because they don't have the product yet and they didn't talk to a live person. So receiving timely and informative communications are going to aid in the business meeting or exceeding their expectations. So having recently purchased a product, these customers are fully engaged and actually primed to buy additional goods and services from you. So how do you keep the communications relevant and helpful without abusing the trust that you've earned? Here's a couple of emails you can try. Now there's activation. This is when a company like a gym sells memberships, subscriptions, or licenses that end after a certain period of time. So it's critical that they activate these subscribers, because if they do, most likely they'll use the product and renew the purchase later on. Now there's a great example out there from Verizon Wireless where they spend millions of dollars helping new customers acclimate to their new phones. Most of these expenses came in form of an inbound customer service phone calls, customers that couldn't set up their new smartphones. Now, Verizon sells tons of different types of phones, and the complexity, varies among each. So it made it very difficult for the customer service reps to really answer all these new users' questions and help them, start using their phones and enjoying the smartphone experience. So Verizon implemented a 6-part welcome email series that answered all the frequently asked questions. And the result was terrific. They had a 5% decline in the number of support calls, so that was a huge amount of money that they were saving. But for me, it was more important that they were actually being proactive to solve the customer's needs before they recognized that they had a need. So that was really proactive, and I like that. You also got renewals. The months leading up to a renewal date, a series or triggered emails can really be sent to work in conjunction with your sales team to help try to retain these customers. You want to personalize these emails as much as possible, with not only content, but you want to also, cite the exact product that they used or the exact salesperson that or customer service agents that they used. You want to make it really relevant to their experience the past, year or so. Now, if you sell, water filters or oil change service, a reorder reminder emails may be perfectly suited for you, because sending triggered emails based on customers' previous orders can be a helpful service to really provide to your customers. When you include the expiration date, it gives them a nice heads up of, oh yeah, it's a nice reminder. Even if they don't buy from you, you've already helped them because you've reminded them that they need to do this again. So the best idea after you remind them that they need to, get an oil change, you want to give them a little perk to retain their loyalty.
And I think that actually goes in line with some of the questions that I was getting earlier was along the lines of luxury products where they don't necessarily offer a discount or what have you. And so having those triggered emails with supplementary services or what have you would really help find a lift there.
Yeah, I think sometimes you have to go broader than just selling your product. You have to think of all the stages that a person has, the challenges that they face in either selecting your product or having your product integrate with whatever they already have. So, I just strongly suggest that you think about all the steps, the micro decision steps that they have before they purchase, and if there's anything free advice that you can give to them and provide to them, it's only going to, they're going to find helpful and truly be thankful that you're giving away your professionalism and your advice.
Yeah, Jeff, one of the things that stood out to me at the email summit, just to kind of comment on that as an email marketer myself, was, Dr. McLaughlin talked a lot about the two most, important words is so what, right? When it comes to email marketing, marketers should be asking themselves, am I sending this email out? Well, so what? Does your audience really care about this important offer that you have? I mean, what value is it to them, correct? How can we really take what we're sending to them and provide true value? Not necessarily because there's urgency in it, but there's real value in it. That really stood out to me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's simple things, but as marketers, I think we get so involved in touting our own brand, we forget those simple aspects of, if the customer, treat the customer like a friend. Would you really just, brag about yourself, or are you going to really give them something of value to help them out? And it's quite a shift sometimes to get into that mode. Now, The next one I want to talk about is special occasions, birthdays, anniversaries. We've seen those all the time, and birthdays actually can be a little bit overdone. So it's really important that if you do send a birthday email, make sure that it's somehow clever and it speaks to your brand and your personality. So it's not just one of 20 birthday wishes in the subscriber's email box. You really want to make sure that it stands out. It's personal and it's personal to your brand. Now, it's funny. My sister is getting married this June, and she knows that I'm a real big email geek, obviously. And so she told me about her recent experience at a department store, where she was registering for her, bridal registry thing. So it was interesting because during the registration, they asked for her email address and her wedding date. And then what they're planning to do is that a few weeks after the wedding, the store is going to end up sending them a congratulatory email and, yay, you got married. But then they're going to give them discounts, a short sale window, where anything that they didn't get for wedding presents, they can go and buy and get a steep discount. And then also over the lifetime of the couple, they're going to receive more, of course, happy anniversary cards, but they're also going to get updates on the products that they were given. So if they had a China set that's being discontinued, they're going to get an email on that. Or if there's, their entire bedding set, some different aspects that they didn't get, or it's going to go on sale, they're going to get an update on that. And that's going to be really helpful. So I'm glad my sister shared that story with me. Now, it looks like we got another question.
We do. This one came from Allison, and she wanted to know what the best practices were and about how often you should send emails to your customers with those offers for renewals or cross-selling or any kind of an upsell on the products.
I
Sure.
definitely have a different take on that. Rather than looking at frequency and how often to reach out to people, I think it's a lot better to focus on when to reach out to people. So you don't want to just...
I think you're going to have to speak up yet again.
Sorry, guys.
You're fine.
Definitely think about when is the best time to offer an upsell or a cross-sell or a renewal offer. Perhaps when a product is about to expire is a good time to offer a renewal. Perhaps when someone has gotten used to a product, they might want some ancillary products, and that can be a good time to cross-sell. And a good way to target these very specific timelines and offer a product at a great time is to use automated and triggered emails. So that doesn't answer your question, Allison, directly, but I would just urge you to think a little differently about it. Think about the best time rather than the best frequency. And you might have more.
I'd just add to that, Adam, is that we've seen marketing experiments tests where, when you segment your audience, you can have greatly different responses. So if you segment your cream of the crop, you can sometimes pound those people with emails, and you're going to get a greater return on investment than somebody that's a marginal customer that only buys from you once a year. So really strongly suggest that you test different segments of your list on the frequency if you choose to go down that route.
That's a great point too, because as you said, portions of your audience will tolerate more emails, but you don't want to just send more emails to your entire database because that will eventually undermine results. You got to segment. That's a great point. So one case study that I'm going to take us through will tie into this, and this case study comes from Isabella. They are a health and wellness beauty retailer. They did a lot of cataloging in the past, but today they're getting a lot bigger online and doing more e-commerce. And they do some really good cross-selling these days. And we're going to show how they've used effective cross-selling and product recommendations in their transactional emails. Jeff's going to talk a little more about transactional emails later, but just for now, just know that product confirmation emails and other types of transactional emails have some of the highest engagement rates of any business emails today. So higher than newsletters or updates or alert emails, these almost digital receipts are very frequently opened and clicked by people, and they can present a really great marketing opportunity. So the team's goal here was really to get more impact from the product recommendations they had. So Isabella had a really good product recommendation system. It was basically almost algorithmically based, and it pulled in a lot of different data to suggest good products to customers. It looked at browsing history, purchase history, items placed in cart, and compared those products with similar products, and then would automatically make suggestions to customers as they hit a product page or went to a shopping cart. It would just make cross-sell suggestions. Also, the system was able to be manually tweaked. Isabella had a really good, when I interviewed them at the time, they explained that they had really good merchandisers on the staff who understood the products really well and understood the customers, so they can manually tweak this system to provide the best recommendations, really. So after they established this, first they were testing it out. As I said, they had recommendations on product pages and shopping cart pages. They had recently expanded it to their weekly email alerts, so customers would get recommendations in an email they were getting. But the team wanted to get more value from these recommendations. It was looking to expand, so what they did is they went to their transactional emails and decided to redesign the order confirmation email. So many of you likely send an order confirmation email. The team at the time had originally been sending one that was text-based. So it was strictly text, and it was done this way so it would render well across a variety of email platforms. But the team wanted to make recommendations and have images of the recommendations. And to do that, you need to at least do HTML. You can't have just text. So you can see an example of the email here on the right. The left portion of the email thanks people for purchasing. It also has the company's logo and tagline and lists the details of the purchase and also the company's contact information. You can see the products they bought there. Now the right side of the email is where the recommendations are made. These are again generated by that system we discussed earlier that pulls in a lot of different data and learns which are the best recommendations over time. There are images of the products, and there are hyperlinks to go to the product pages for each of them. So clicking the image or the link will bring you to a product page where you can buy this hopefully relevant product. The one issue to note with these types of emails is that they are not considered typical marketing emails. Under the Canned Spam Act, the transactional email, or I forget what the actual term is, I'm not a lawyer, so please add a grain of salt to anything I say and research it yourself on this point. But transactional emails have different guidelines than straight marketing emails. If someone opts in to receive your marketing emails, you can send them promotions and discounts. But someone does not have to opt in to receive your transactional emails. So after they purchase, you can send them an email, and that email should be mostly transactional in nature. So in this case, it has to talk about the purchase that was made. It has to list the items and really just provide more of a service as a receipt rather than a marketing opportunity. That said, it can have marketing content in it, as these emails from Isabella do. The caveat is that the subject line for transactional email should be transactional in nature. So the subject line should not say get 20% off or check out these other products you might enjoy. The subject line should say thank you for your purchase or confirmation for order XYZ. Also, it can't lead with promotional information. It has to lead with transactional information. You can't have suggested products or discounts as the first thing the customer sees. Also, I believe the email overall, just on a percentage basis, has to be dominated by transactional information. As you can see, the Isabella email is here. Again, I will say I'm not a lawyer, and these are matters of law, but it's important. So if you want to learn more, Google Canned Spam Act, a compliance guide for business. That's the title of the page. It's a page on the FTC's website, and it will have some specific guidelines and examples you can look at to make sure you're using your transactional emails legally. And this is a legitimate opportunity. This isn't overstepping your bounds by making product recommendations and suggestions in a transactional email. But there are some guidelines you need to follow, so just check in with your legal department and educate yourself on the topic. Now for Isabella, their product recommendations in transactional emails went very well for them. As you can see on the slide, 19% of customers who click a recommendation complete another purchase. So that's a nearly 20% conversion rate. among people who click just one of those suggestions. That conversion rate is 111% higher than the conversion rate on the recommendations in the team's weekly alert emails. So much, much higher than the team's weekly emails. These emails are reaching customers who have just purchased. They're active, they're engaged, and they're in a buying mood, so they have much higher conversion rates. Overall, about 400 to 500 customers per month click these recommendations. And just to give you an idea of what that means for the company, the total money generated by the team's overall recommendation engine equaled about 90% of the total revenue the team generated from Google AdWords. And when I interviewed them for this piece, they said AdWords was the, quote, 900-pound gorilla of its marketing. So effective recommendations can really, really add some more punch to your bottom line, and also including them in a good transactional email can be very, very effective. And just to go all the way back to the beginning about the timing issue, these emails, again, are reaching people at a very opportune time. These people obviously are interested in purchasing, they're in a buying mood, and they have just purchased. You're not reaching them with an offer at a random time where anything could be happening. Maybe they have money, or maybe their transmission just went out on their car. This timing adds a tremendous amount of relevance to these offers, and that's reflected in the conversion rate. So that brings this final case study to an end. Jeff is going to take us through some few more items here, and I'll pass it back to him.
Yeah, you know what, Jeff? Based on time, I think we're just going to go ahead and skip the poll. And if you could,
yep, that's fine.
Breeze through it.
Yeah, and I think Adam covered. I was going to talk a little bit more about the Can-Spam Act, but I think Adam covered that pretty well, especially with the web link there. The only thing I really want to touch on, how important it is when you make a transactional email. You want to make sure that the subject line exclusively relates to the transaction, and then I really recommend that 75% or more of the copy is dedicated to the actual transaction, and that last third you can spend on trying to upsell people for like in the past one, product recommendations, or even things like your own email newsletter. Just because they bought from you doesn't mean that they're on your newsletter. And then finally, we have retention. Now, retention's at the end of this, and of course when somebody's a fully satisfied customer, you want to make sure that they give them incentives to promote others. But you really want to think about doing it throughout the entire part of the entire path to purchase. So even if somebody's they haven't bought from you yet, but they're on your newsletter, give them some incentives to get other people on your newsletter. And then, of course, at the end, once they do become a customer, you want to, again, promote to them, incentivize them to bring more people on board with your company's brand. I'm going to skip to the takeaways. So, again, today we talked about identifying the impact and purpose of the emails and how critical that is to really have a strategy behind where you're going to place email in the pipeline. We talked a lot about making sure that the onboarding process, laying out a great welcome mat is going to help them succeed. And then that last part that Adam is so important. A lot of times we forget about taking advantage of transactional emails, and these are definitely soft sells. But every time we've seen these used, there's been a tremendous amount of return on investment for those that do it. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Justin with 1 minute to spare.
Oh, thanks, Jeff. Really appreciate it. Hey, thank you, everyone, for being with us. We do have a couple more slides. As I mentioned earlier, we're extremely pleased to be working with Eloqua. So if you're not familiar with Eloqua, they do automate the science of marketing. So they have a marketing automation platform. It makes it easier for marketers like myself to really track online behavior and use those targeted messages. So I highly recommend you go to eloqua.com/platform there. Now, just as Jeff had mentioned earlier, we do have a special report for you, a special offer on the research that we actually covered today. Normally the price is $397. We are running a $100 special and an additional $100 special for any webinar attendees. So they're getting quite a savings on your half off on your book, Jeff.
Wow.
And really, This really covers most of the research, and there's a lot more case studies and information in there for marketers who are eager to do that. So visit mechlabs.com /100 Eloqua, and you can use that promo code. We'll leave it up there. But I really just want to thank all our speakers today for the great content. And, of course, there's a lot of questions that we couldn't get to, so feel free to email Jeff and Adam, and especially us here at MarketingSherpa. We'd be happy to help you. But thank you to everyone, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you.